Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to another video, and in today's video we are going to be making these like bandana cloths with wax and dye. Okay, so here we got our wax paper, our little tool thing, and our wax. So if we put our wax in the middle here, we're going to try out and do some techniques and whatnot on the wax paper before we try on any bandana. So I'll take my paper towel here and fold it into a nice little square, and I'll fill this special tool full of wax. And as you can see, it just dribbles out the top like that, and that's how we'll be able to draw on our bandanas. So with this, we can start to draw lines like this, and obviously the faster you go, the thinner the line, and the slower you go, the thicker the line. So here I'm just testing out a bunch of different techniques, seeing all the different things I can do with this tool, and you know, what I'll want to do on my bandana. So I end up trying a bunch of different designs here, so squiggles and big squiggles and little squares and just little dots, and seeing how well I can do that. And I went ahead and took my watch off, didn't want to get wax in that. But I wanted to see if masking tape would work, because I feel like if we could use masking tape to mask off certain spots on the bandana, we could get a lot cleaner lines when putting wax on the cloth. So I'm just going to make a little square here just to start, and we're going to fill it up with wax, just like a little coloring sheet. Except I did an awful job at staying in the lines, but supposedly the tape should fix that. So I went ahead and filled that up. The other wax designs that I started with are starting to dry already, if you can see that. And then I did a bunch more. So after that, all of these are just about dried. They all look pretty good, as you can see by the pointing of my fingers. I did another masking test with these little stripes and whatnot. But as you can see, they're all nice and hard now, and they've turned white as well, so that's how you know. So we'll see if this works. When I pull the tape, you can see there's a pretty darn good line there. Now there's a little bit of bleeding, which will definitely happen on the cloths, because the wax will travel a lot better through the cloths, but in theory, that's pretty darn good, and I'd say it works. The other lines worked as well too, and then I got to scrape it off, because I'm going to need this wax paper for when I dye them later, so you get to watch me scrape them off. Very satisfying. Especially the square. Very nice. Till over here I kind of forget what I'm doing, and kind of mess everything up. Sorry, yep, nope, bad. It's no longer satisfying anymore. So I'll spare you from having to watch any more of this. But for our first one, we're doing the square in the middle, as you can see, masked off, because here's our reference. So this is just a bandana that I found online, and that's what we're going to be trying to do with this one. So I masked off a not very square looking square in the middle, but I tried my best. So this is my first time trying this, and as you can see, I'm a little wobbly, and it definitely bleeds a lot more on here than it does in the wax paper. So my lines aren't very straight, but as I get going and as I do more and more, it gets easier and easier. So obviously for this design, it's basically just squares like this around the middle square all the way till we get to the edge. So I went ahead and did that. Nothing too exciting with this one, just going in circles. Yeah, what a lovely design. But in the end, the reference photo that I had was all one color, but this one I'm going to do stripes. So every other of these little squares will be stripes. I did add an extra drop right there that I made a mistake. So now there's going to be a random white spot in the middle. But that one for now is done. So on to our next one. This one is going to be a lot more complex. So this one I masked the edges off, and as you can see, this lovely slow-mo of our pic here, but I'll just show it to you like this. So this is our reference photo. Very complex, and not sure we'll be able to do that with the wax, but we are going to try. I decided I wanted to do more masking tape to get that edge, that little frilly edge that there was there. So I'm going to go ahead and make another square out of the masking tape to do that. Hopefully the masking tape will work just as well as it did on the wax paper, but we really don't know that. So I still got to be a little careful. And yeah, so for this one, I decided I was going to do straight lines like this. But immediately after I was done, I decided I hated it and I wanted to do squiggles. So this one, I did a bunch of just random little squiggles, just all over back and forth and whatnot. And on this side, I wanted to do more uniform squiggles, so they kind of go with each other all down the line. And this last one, I did the same thing as well. So this will be the edge for that. And I decided in the middle, I wanted to do a like diamond or square in that middle instead of the circle, considering I can barely do checkers, rather checkers in a circle pattern. So I went ahead and finished doing all the wax in the middle, which you can see by this awful camera angle. Quality content. I just ran away. But so I did the checkered pattern like so, and this took me probably about 45 minutes to do just this, so not the easiest, but here it is. So it turned out alright. As you can see, I started off rough and it got better and better as I went on, but the masking tape kind of worked. I didn't really wait for it to dry all the way, so it still kind of bled, and you can kind of see it lift off the wax paper like that. You can see all the pooling wax under it. But the masking tape worked alright. I decided to freshen up the lines here and on the sides around this line, because where I have it masked off, I want to do a like full stripe there, so I'm going to keep those edges nice, and then I'm going to fill that in, which probably took me another half an hour to do. And then instead of doing floral, I'm going to do more squiggles just like that. So that one is done. For this last one, it is huge. So I really didn't want a too complex of a design, so I decided to do the easiest thing I could think of and do stripes. But this ended up being awful, as it took me maybe hour and a half, 2 hours just to do. No fun. It took me so long and so much wax. But it ended up turning out alright in the final design. But now that we finished all of our wax, it's almost about time to dye them. So before we do that, I will remove the masking tape from all of these, and as you can see, it is a kind of awful square. So that first one I did, the wax definitely pooled around it and it wasn't the greatest, but it's finally time to dye. So for each of these, you do 1 scoop of powder and then just fill the whole thing to the top. I don't know how much a scoop is, and I don't know how much water I actually used, but it is just all right. So I went ahead and added the powder to all of these, and then the water, which I definitely overfilled a ton. And these stain everything considering they're dye, so put your gloves on if you're going to do this, and I put an apron on as well. So with that, I decided I was going to dye this one first, considering it was the one I made first, and the colors I do, while it looks red, that's going to be an orange. So I decided to do orange and blue stripes alternating across the whole thing. So it looks pretty red and blue, pretty America right now, but in just a bit, it will be orange and blue. So I finished up doing this one with another awful camera angle, but it's done. So that's nice. And so this one's finished, so we can move this one out the way. And it is now time to do the beloved, my favorite so far, this one. This one had a ton of wax on it. It was very heavy, but I decided to do this one completely orange. I don't know, the orange just kind of spoke to me. I really liked it. The other one seemed really dark, and this one seemed nice and light and happy, and I don't want a sad and dreary bandana. So I finished up that one as I did it all one color, and then this final one took me so long and so much dye, But I went ahead and just did all the stripes. So I started off with what looks like yellow, which actually looks kind of orange, really. Then I did some red stripes, I think that's green. It looks blue, but I'm pretty sure that one's green. And then I eventually did some blue stripes, and just kind of worked on that for hours and hours. And you can see where the little spots of wax stopped because it bled through. But that one is finally finished, and I can move it out the way. This one is done, and I can peel the masking edge, which didn't work at all. But this one had so much wax on it, I scraped some of it off. And then you put all of these into bags. These are boiling bags, which I will microwave them in so the wax can come off. So I went ahead and brought them into my kitchen. From here I went ahead and grabbed a microwave safe bowl, so definitely don't use the metal one. And then I took this lovely, perfect bowl, and with our little bags here, little boiler bags with our cloths on it, I'll admire the bowl. We'll just take this and you just put it over your bowl. I wanted to do this one first again, it's kind of my guinea pig one. But you put it over the bowl like that so you can fill it with water. Now once you fill it with water, you can go ahead and toss it in the microwave for ever is what it felt like. I feel like I did microwaving for another hour. So I tossed that in there, microwaved it, and took it out. Once I did that, it was time to rinse it. So rinsing it was pretty fun. It kind of stained my hands though, so be careful. It was really hot too. I ain't the smartest, burning my hands, but it got all the wax off. So I can take it out and rinse this by hand first. Make sure you do that before you do anything with the washing machine, or else it's gonna stain your washing machine. But just try and make sure to get as much dye out of it as possible. And then I just repeated this with all of them until they were all washed out, and really, after this, they were pretty much done. Okay, so it's been about a month since the last video you just saw of me washing them out. So since then, I have them right here. So since then, I've washed them in the washing machine a few times, had them dry, washed them again and whatnot, and here is the final result. So the first one we did with just the square in the middle turned out like this. You can see the little dot right there and whatnot. It's a little dark, but I think it looks pretty darn good. Our stripy one, the big one, it's very fall. It looks like a fall throw little like decorative towel is this one. Very fall-like, very green, orange, pretty, very big. But, so there's that one, and the last one are more detailed design one, which is personally my favorite. Turned out pretty darn good. So this is the last one that we did. Obviously it's not perfect detail as I did it with wax, and there's still some mess ups here and there, but overall I think it turned out great. So got all these right here, and yeah, this is how they all turned out. So there you have it. If you liked this video, please make sure to comment, like, subscribe, all the things. We're coming back, and if you've watched this way, you're probably already subscribed, but if you're not, please do, and see you later.